Hi, Daniel, and welcome to the Maestro Online.
Hi, Robin. It's very good to be here.
Now, you have had the most amazing life, in my opinion. You've come from a background where you started off fairly traditionally and geographically quite close to me, actually. We had a little bit of similarity in our beginning. So you started off Liverpool Cathedral as a
Certainly
chorister,
did.
yeah? And I started off
The
in
Anglican
Chester.
Cathedral, very important.
Yes, that's right. I started in Chester and eventually ended up playing for Ian Tracy, who then sent me to Noel Rawson, who is a very well renowned organist. So
Fantastic.
tell
Both
me
of them.
about, yeah, they are both phenomenal people. So tell me about how you began that journey. What what inspired you to join the choir at Liverpool Cathedral, Liverpool Anglican Cathedral, even?
So I was very lucky. My mum was very musical. She liked singing, and it was something that she'd never been able to pursue in her life. She became a nurse and always felt like she wanted to do some singing. So she wanted to give us those advantages, and so she brought us, me and my little brother, to the Anglican Cathedral. I don't know. I have no idea where she heard about it, but we ended up there on audition day, and I went in there quite old, and I really went in to support my little brother. I just went in to give him a helping hand, and we both got accepted. And the rest is history. So I stayed there for many years, became head boy um, under Ian Tracy and Ian Wells,
Yeah.
both excellent musicians, excellent um, role models for me as a young musician. Um, so the kind of musicianship that I wanted to make when I grew older. Um, the, the kind of musicianship that matters for me is stuff that matters. It means something. Whenever you open your mouth, whenever you're playing out, whatever it is, you're saying something. You're telling
So
a story.
so tell us your story. Where did you go from Liverpool Anglican? What was the next stage in your journey?
So from Liverpool Anglican, I went down to London.
Yeah.
Our family just moved down there. So I was there at the London Oratory, in the London Oratory Scholar, who did lots of film soundtracks and very exciting tours and things like
So you were
that.
involved
And
in
then from
some
there, I
quite
went to university.
and you were involved in some quite big films like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, um,
Uh, yeah,
as
so at the
part of
time, the
that group.
Scholar were recording all those kind of things. Interestingly, I went back into it many years later. So I've never taken the time to put my film credits on. Where is it you're supposed to put them? Um, on that place you're supposed to put where you've sung all the
The
different films.
IMDb or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a couple of
absolutely.
pence. Yeah, you get a couple of
Yeah,
pence in your bank account every now and then. Wonderful.
yeah,
I've never done that, but it's quite a list. I
yeah.
actually went into I for a while would organise choirs for films for Disney, Universal, people like that. Whenever they needed singers.
From that perspective, obviously that's very different to singing in a religious setting. So you've been recording, you're doing studio recordings. Was that an
Mm-hmm.
emotionally different setting? Was that an exciting setting? Was it a nervous setting? What kind of influence did it have on you? Surely the first time you did something like that must have been quite exceptional.
It is interesting. It's when you're in that professional music setup. I mean, at least to me, it didn't make a difference if I was singing, Sunday morning Eucharist or singing in the studio. You still try to raise yourself to that high level. And it's one of the reasons I think why my anxiety developed later on in my career. That I had very high standards always. Um, you can call it perfectionism, never quite that far, but it's something that builds into anxiety. Certainly, that those high standards that can do so much for us, but can also hinder us when we take them too far. So all of this film stuff, all of the studio stuff, and the choral upbringing took me to music college. So I went to university, did a normal music degree, loved the psychology of it. I should have known then that that was something I should follow. We did psychology of music as one of our modules. Stayed on, did a master's at Sheffield. Sheffield it was, I
Yeah.
did my first degree. And then went down to London, went to the Guildhall. Because at that stage, performing was the only thing that I wanted to do, was the only thing that would really fill what I needed for myself.
Yes, and you
And
formed a very respected choir as well, the Voces Eight
so
there.
yes, while I was actually between university, between Guildhall, I started singing with some friends.
Yeah.
and these friends, they were all Holloway, and one thing turned into another, and we created what is now known as Watches 8. We set it up as a charity, and it's the Watches Campbell's Music Foundation. And yeah, and so when I went to music college, I had to make a really tough decision. Do I leave that behind, or and go and do opera, or do I stick with them? And at the time, I absolutely wanted to do opera. I absolutely wanted to be the only person on that stage singing. I
Yeah.
wanted to be singing louder than everybody else. And so I made that choice. I went to music college.
Yeah, and of course you eventually
choice.
been connected with the ENO, the English National Opera, which must have taken you on worldwide stages, and there must have been a huge element of months of preparation, leading to really big, significant events in your life.
Yeah. So I did the ENO Opera Works course, which was a year of training. I was lucky enough while I was there to make a good impression. And so I got a few nice contracts from ENO, and at the same time I was doing stuff for Scottish Opera, and it was all kind of building really well. I went to the Netherlands. I went to sing at the Bolshoi in Russia, had a main role at the Bolshoi, and then I ended up coming to Germany, singing, again, main roles. And my voice is a countertenor. I sing very high. And so it's very unique. I have two kinds of opera. I have modern opera, or I have Baroque opera. None of the juicy stuff in the middle. Just those two at either end.
Either end.
So exactly. So it's not very often done in places. So I was getting to go to all these far-flung places because of the uniqueness of what I was offering.
Yes.
Because of my big countertenor operatic voice. And so it let me do things like world premieres at some of the biggest houses in Germany, where I now live, by the way.
Which is fantastic.
So I'm based in South Germany. I met my now girlfriend while I was doing an opera. One thing has led to another, and here I am. I'm not going to show you because all the equipment's set up. I'm in the woods of South Germany. So outside of all my windows, I see nothing but woods.
Absolutely fantastic.
The
Tell me also about you've organised singers for film, etc., but also computer games.
Yeah, all through the same guys. So it's very interesting about the level of musicianship in the UK. It is very, very high. So the standards in the UK, just for musicianship, for sight reading, for being able to perform on the spot, are very high, much higher than in other places. So people like Disney, Universal, Rockstar Games, all of these people, they like to record in the UK because they can record in a fraction of the time of other places.
So now
pros and cons to that.
Yeah, sure. So you've had this phenomenal career, which I think is really, really important to where you are now. So obviously now you deal with how people feel about performance, how they prepare for performance, and enabling them to achieve their best with and manage their emotions and their feelings and their neurotransmitters and all these kind of things. Tell us a bit about that and how
Absolutely.
that came about.
So I was lucky enough to do all these amazing operas. And along the way, I recognized that nerves were a factor. So often for premieres, for auditions, as soon as someone got the cameras out, it would affect how I performed. And I wasn't able to reach the high standards that I expected of myself. So to anyone looking outside, Daniel did a great job. But for me, I knew I could reach something higher, something that little bit was missing, was being held, was being whatever it was. And so I went out and tried to fix it, as you would.
Yes.
I went to everything. I went to therapy. I went webinars. I studied psychology. I did all the things. But at the time, I couldn't find anything that I could actually do. So for me as a performer, I wanted stuff I could do, stuff I could build into my practice, build into my daily routine, stuff I could do in the moment of performance. And that kind of information just kind of didn't exist, or at least I couldn't find it.
So tell me how these level of anxieties affected you. Was it in preparation for a performance? Was it during a performance? Was it mental? Was it also physical? How did it manifest itself?
All of these things.
Yeah.
So it pops up when you least expect it. And I think this is true for everybody. There's no hard and fast rule. It will definitely come up when I do this. It depends on so many of your circumstances, your life at the time, how you feel, how your emotions are at the time, your resilience, your resource that you have, your personal and emotional resource. And so it comes at different times. The place I always noticed it was auditions. Mm. So auditions for any musician are hard. They really are. It's the moment you've got 10 minutes in front of a panel of people watching, smiling, judging.
Yes.
And so
and of
we
course
only have that 10 minutes to try and impress.
Yes.
So it becomes, and we very rarely get feedback. We very rarely get the things that fulfill us, that let us know that it's part of our growth journey.
Yes.
It's not built into the system.
And so you've got that thing at the back of your mind thinking, what are they thinking? What do they think of me? Are they thinking bad things about me? Are they... And it's those seeds of doubt in the back of the mind.
Or even just, I really want to do my best. I need this job. I really want to get this. And you can put pressure on yourself. Pressure and anxiety can come from outside, it can come from inside, it can come from lots of different places, but it affects us all in the same way. So how it affected me, oftentimes my breath would disappear. I'd sing half a phrase that I'd sung 100 times and have to take a breath out of nowhere. I remember once I was in Amsterdam singing to the Nederlands opera, and I was singing a very famous Handel aria from Julius Caesar, one of the most famous arias. So they definitely knew this aria. And halfway through my A section, I forgot the words. Now, anyone who's an opera singer and has to audition a lot has their audition arias, and they've sung them 1,000 times, You know them backwards. You can sing them anywhere, anytime, straight off a plane, straight off the train, whatever it is. So I'd sung this aria so many times, and I'd arrived early, had a couple of espressos, doesn't help, and I forgot the words. And so in that moment, I thought the best thing to do would be make up some words. So I started, in front of this wonderful panel of people, started making up Italian. Ravanelli, tagliatelle, just kept going. Pavarotti, and I got to the B section. Had a little break. I was like, okay, fine. Got ready to sing the B section, of course. Couldn't remember a single word. Tune was all there, sang beautifully, but making up Italian. Got to my the da capo. Same thing happened again. Making up words, this time with ornaments. So that's how it affected me. I think that's probably the trip that made me go, I really need to deal with this.
Yes.
This is where I really need to do something about it. And what's interesting is all that time I was teaching singing. So I had a bunch of really good students, and I started feeding in the stuff that I was learning to them. And what I noticed was how much of a difference it made for them. So it wasn't just for me as someone having to go out on big stages, and I remember one world premiere, I was sat in this big harness, I was just flying, sat behind the stage and holding onto the rigging, waiting to go crash through the scenery. And my leg was just shaking. I could hear the rigging around me being shaken by it. So it's not just when you're in those big situations, it's when you go for your singing lesson, when you go and sing in your choir, when you he wanted to sing at his wedding, never sung before. All of these things. I keep talking about singing, but it's the same for everything.
Yes, it's everything. I remember my grade 6 piano exam, and the examiner actually going out and getting a cloth to dry the keys because I was slipping on them because I was that anxious. So I can really connect with this. So obviously this has led to what you do now, and this leads us perfectly into the courses that you're about to lead us through. Most of all, Daniel, I would like to thank you for your honesty and openness, because that allows us to be honest and open about our feelings too, and start our journey of inner growth and personal growth, as well as that technical growth.
That's 100% what it is. And the thing is, you have to be honest. You can only go from where you are now. And if you're spending your whole time just ignoring it, which is what most of us were taught to do, just get on stage, just go and sing more, or perform more. You'll be
Yes.
fine. That's only going to lead to these symptoms getting worse until you take the time to make that growth. The common misconception is that if you just go out and do it, you'll get better at it. But I compare that to being thrown in a lake to learn how to swim. So some people will kind of work it out, and some people will be scarred for life.
Yes.
So until we, personal mission, until we start putting these tools in place as part of the learning process, people are always going to struggle. And most of my clients now that I see are people at really high end of their careers. In the last couple of weeks, I've spoken to, how much should I share? Someone who's going to sing at La Scala, someone who's going to sing at Opera North, someone who's going to make their Bayreuth debut.
Yes, you've worked with West End people, you've worked with Brits,
yeah,
Brit Award people.
Absolutely.
Some really top ends.
Someone that won't mind me saying, someone who's singing for the NFL,
Yeah.
so millions of people on the telly. That's a big gig.
Absolutely.
You're in the stadium, you've got all the noise, you've got all of that stuff. You're barefoot because you're not allowed to muck up the grass, can't wear heels. Champions League, we spoke with a group who sang before the Champions League, same thing, barefoot, you're in a stadium full of people, you've only got the things in your ears, and they're really big gigs. That's when the pressure's on, because also it's in a microphone. So you've got to deal with all of this out there and still put your absolute best into that, which is sending it out live to millions of people, hundreds of millions, tens of millions, I don't know. And we'll be there forever.
Daniel,
that's not high stakes. I don't know what is.
Absolutely.
And those performers did a wonderful job. I was proud, super proud of all of them. And so whatever we were doing was working for them.
Daniel, thank you.
So just to really say what it is that I do, I coach performance anxiety. So I've shaped all those things that I learn into ways of helping people. And it's all kinds of different ways. And it's about working out how your brain works. Every brain is different. Every brain will deal with this in different ways and respond to different things because of that. So some of us work visually. Some of us like to see text. Some of us like to speak to ourselves in our own head. Some of us work physically, got to work physically. Most people, it's a combination of all of them. So the whole journey of being able to deal with this, and I know we're talking about singing, it can be anything. It's a job interview, it's exams, it's a driving test, it's any situation where you feel like those anxiety emotions might come and stop you giving your absolute best. So we need combinations of stuff, and some things might work one day, some days you might need another set of things. So having a toolbox of stuff that you can use and build into your practice, build into how you build up to big events is, in my opinion, absolutely essential. I think we should all be learning it all of the time. I just happen to be lucky enough to be working with singers right now, and more other people. I work with a nurse, a vet, a lot of vets, race car driver, all kinds of people, all looking for the same thing, which is how do I perform my best? It's absolutely that. We all know the potential that we have. And so being able to access that in the moment that we need it is so important for us to feel good.
Daniel, thank you so much. I can't wait to explore the tools that you have in your toolkit.
Fantastic.